What's up guys, Justin here with TheSketchUpEssentials.com, back with another SketchUp extension tutorial for you. So in today's video we're going to talk about how to create a fence across an irregular surface like a terrain in SketchUp. Today's video is brought to you by the SketchUp Essentials course. The SketchUp Essentials course is a course that I created to give you a start to finish training in SketchUp. So it's a very linear course that takes you from learning the basic tools in SketchUp and then you work up into more complex workflows like interior design modeling, and then eventually exporting that building to layout. So if that's something that you're interested in, you want to take your SketchUp game to the next level, make sure you check that out at TheSketchUpEssentials.com/course. Now let's go ahead and just jump into it. Alright, so in this video what I'm going to do is I'm going to use two extensions. I'm going to use Tools on Surface to create a path, and then I'm going to use the extension Profile Builder in order to create my smart fence along this assembly. I will link to both of those below. Please note that Profile Builder is a paid extension, and I am an affiliate for Profile Builder, so if you do end up purchasing through that link, I do receive a commission. Alright, so when you're working with models in SketchUp, sometimes it can be pretty easy to create things like fences. So if you were dealing with like a completely flat terrain, it would be fairly easy to create a path and then extrude something along a path in order to create that fence. However, when you start dealing with things like actual terrains, kind of like this one that I've imported that has a bunch of ups and downs, that gets a lot harder because you can't just draw a straight line, because what'll happen is even though you have a straight line, it'll be up above the ground in a lot of cases. And let's say for example that you wanted to draw a line or a fence across this hill. If you were to rotate down, you can see how if you draw a straight line it's going to be up in the air. Well, you can get around that by using an extension called Tools on Surface, and I'm going to make another video about Tools on Surface a little while later. But basically what Tools on Surface does is it's designed to help you actually draw on complex surfaces. And so what it does is you can see how there's an option in here in Tools on Surface for Line on Surface, and what that'll do is that'll allow you to actually draw along this complex face. And so the way that's going to work is you need to be inside your group containing your imagery. So in this case, this is some imagery I brought in using the location function in SketchUp, and it's pretty low resolution, but it'll work for what we're doing here. You can see how it comes in as terrain. It's got some ups and downs and everything else. And in this case, this is a neighborhood that I kind of walk around on my lunch break, and I was kind of thinking, well, what would the best way be to draw a fence or model a fence for something like this? And so what we would do is, in this case, there's actually a tool in here for Arc on Surface, and so we would select that, and basically I would give this a couple clicks. So I would do a single click for each one of my endpoints, and you can see how I can move this in and out just like with the Arc tool. And you can see how when I click, what this does is this actually draws this line along this surface, so it follows this surface. And what you can do is you can use that as a path in order to extrude things. So in this case, I'm just going to do a little bit of a curve right here, and then I'm going to do a little bit of a curve coming around this corner. So you can see how all the way around here this is following the contours of the edge. And so that gives me a great path that I can extrude things along. And the first thing I'm going to do, because this gets a little odd with the way things can kind of merge with this face, is I'm actually going to cut this out of my location box group. So I'm just going to do a shift click on all of these, and I'm going to do a Control X. I'm going to click outside of my location group, and I'm going to do an edit, paste in place. Now those segments are sitting on here and I don't have to worry about them accidentally merging with geometry or anything like that. And so the next thing I'm going to do, because I want to extrude something along this full path, and so side note, I created all the roads and these kind of context buildings back here using the extension Placemaker, which I will link to in the notes down below. That just gives me something a little easier to kind of follow along when I'm doing this. But in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to use the extension Profile Builder in order to create a fence along this path. Because I could create, like let's say for example, I wanted to draw just like a simple wall along this path. Way too tall. So if I wanted to extrude a wall along this path, that would be pretty easy to do with just the Follow Me tool. So I could just select my path, click on my face, and I can extrude this along that line. That works pretty well. So if you just want to draw a simple wall, you can do that this way. But in this case, what I want to do is I want to create a wall that has like repeating vertical bars and everything else that looks like a real fence. And so in order to do that, I'm going to use the extension profile builder, because this can actually build that profile along this path. And so in order to do that, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the 3D warehouse, and I'm actually going to download a profile builder profile. And MindSight Studios has several of those on this site that'll work for this. So it's got some different fences and other profiles that you can download for free from the 3D warehouse. But in this case, what I want to do is I'm going to start off and I'm going to use this fence assembly. So let's say that I wanted to create a fence that goes all the way along this path. Well, I'm going to bring this assembly in by clicking the download button, and I'll just drop that somewhere. It doesn't really matter where. The only reason we need to bring that in is so that we can sample it and select it for our assembly dialog. And now all I have to do is just shift click these 3 segments and then click the build along path button. And this is actually going to create the fence all the way along this, and it'll actually follow along with the topography in the area. And note that this does take a while, because this is creating a lot of geometry when this does this. But you can see how this actually follows along all the way around this corner. And so you can take a look at this fence style, see if you like it. If you don't like it, one of the cool things you can do is, let's say I wanted to use more of a stepped property barrier, which is another assembly they have in here. I can load this into my model, and I can click, and then I can just sample it by using the eyedropper. I can click on this fence, and I can click the Apply Assembly Attributes button to actually update this with a new assembly. So what this is going to do is this is going to come in and it's going to replace this whole fence with this other assembly, the Step Property Barrier assembly. So you can see how it's really easy to swap something like that out and try different styles and bring that in. And because our path is following along with the ground, you can see how all of these individual supports actually go into the ground here. So this is a great way to create a complex fence that follows topography really easily. So that's where I'm going to end this video. Leave a comment below and let me know what you thought. Was this helpful to you? Is this something you could see yourself using? I just love having that SketchUp conversation with you guys. If you like this video, please remember to click that like button down below. If you're new around here, remember to click that subscribe button for new SketchUp content every week. If you like what I'm doing in this channel, please consider supporting me on Patreon. Every little bit helps, even if it's only $1 a month. So make sure you check out that link in the notes down below. But in any case, thank you so much for taking the time to watch this. I really appreciate it, and I will catch you in the next video. Thanks, guys.